Audio.
So today I would be talking about the second chapter of my memorable trip to this wonderful island of Madagascar in Eastern African region. So before we talk about the inhabitants called lemurs on this island, the eagerness with which people want to know why are these lemurs only endemic to this part of the world. Although there is limited data, the nuclear genes and studies in 2005 and many others, and then coming to lemur diversification many millions of years ago, talks about the lemur colonization of Madagascar somewhere between these two approximate dates. The dates are many millions of years ago. So, coming to the history of the lemurs, the colonization in Madagascar, once Madagascar part of the supercontinent called Gondwana, so Madagascar broke away from the Eastern African region, from Eastern Africa, the likely source of the ancestral lemur population, almost like 160 million years ago, and then from Antarctica between 80 and 130 million years ago. So initially, the island drifted south from where it split from Africa, near around the modern Somalia, until it reached its current position between 80 and 90 million years ago. So around that time, it also split with India, leaving it isolated in the Indian Ocean and separated from the nearby Africa by what now they call the Mozambique Channel, a deep channel with a minimum width of approximately 560 kilometers. Now these separation dates and the estimated age of the primate lineage, of course, it precludes the possibility that lemurs could have been there on the island even before Madagascar pulled away from Africa. My previous video posted a while ago reflected the different types of rare reptiles that exist in this very unique island. This one will all be talking about the lemur population. In my couple of days on the island, I was able to see a few varieties of lemurs. Now, lemur variety has gone as far as some people say 100 varieties. So, I would be describing the few that I have seen over the couple of days that I spent here. Now, my name is Professor Arif Herekar. I am basically a neurologist, but my interest and passion is for wildlife. In the same context, I would be describing my trip to this wonderful fourth largest island in the world, Madagascar. Although I have been doing another series on Madagascar, but today's will be focused primarily on these absolutely amazing primates. The only place you can find them, they're endemic only to Madagascar, and they are called the lemurs. So before I talk about the lemurs, must tell you something about Madagascar. Madagascar is an island off the coast of southeastern Africa in the Indian Ocean, and it is near the islands, 3-4 islands, the islands of Reunion, the island of Mauritius, the island of Comoros, and the island of Mayotte. And if you ask me the nearest countries Mozambique, Tanzania, Swaziland, and of course South Africa. Now Madagascar, this amazing island, is also called the Red Island, the Rainbow Island, the eighth continent, and there are many names for the fourth largest island. If we talk about the location, it is located in the southwestern area of the Indian Ocean. It's east of the coast of Africa and about 400 kilometers off the coast of Mozambique. So in May of 2017, I landed on the soil of Madagascar in the capital city of Antananarivo. So after landing in Antananarivo, I was able to stay for a day, spend a night in a local hotel, and the next morning, with my driver and my guide that was already arranged, we took off and drove along the countryside to a small but beautiful central location called the Mandraka Park. So we spent some time at the Mandraka Park, which is midway between Antasabee and the capital city of Antananarivo. And the park is beautiful. It has lush green lawns, an artificial lake, and I was able to take a walk down with my guide, local guide, and my driver. Although I did see a wee bit of deforestation, which is everywhere in Madagascar, not only Madagascar, everywhere around the globe. It is sad, but then this is the way it is. But the forestation was pretty good all the same, and my hour and a half in the Mandraka Park were pretty pleasant. We were able to eat something, a short lunch, and then we moved on along the countryside. As I was driven along the countryside, I was thinking of the island's long isolation from neighboring countries. Now, Madagascar is home to various plants and animals found nowhere else on earth, and approximately 90% of all the plants and animal species found in Madagascar are totally endemic. Now, this distinctive ecology has led some of the ecologists to refer to Madagascar as the eighth continent, and the island has been classified by the Conservation International as a biodiversity hotspot. I was also thinking of the climate of Madagascar. So it's a combination of southeastern trade winds and northwestern monsoons. Produces a hot rainy season. Now this is between November and April, with frequently destructive cyclones and relatively cooler dry season, May to October. I was there in October luckily, and I was away from the rains. I had also learnt that tropical cyclones had caused damage to the infrastructure and local economies, as well as the loss of life. And the worst cyclone had come in 2004 and became the strongest cyclone ever recorded to hit the Madagascar. So from the Mandraka Park, we went straight to the Vekona Lodge in Antasabee, and then onto the forest or park, as you might call it, the Anala Mazotra Park. Now, Anala Mazotra Park is famous for the Indri species of lemurs, and they're found only in the secluded island of Madagascar. The Indri evolved in the same way as every other lemur, from the smaller individuals that came to the island from Africa 50 million years ago. Now, due to the fact that there was no other primates to compete with, lemurs soon adapted to live in a variety of habitats, producing a diverse range of different species. So there are almost like 100 species of lemurs. Now locally they are called the Babakoto, which means little father or ancestor of man. And as the natives believe that Indri resembles their ancestors, there is a certain taboo over consuming it, but it does receive some protection in parts of the native environment. So as we entered the Anala Mazotra Park, we were greeted by the lemurs, some of them in troops or groups, and they are of course the largest of the living lemur species, and some individuals may reach a meter in height. The average Indri, however, is 60 to 80 centimeters tall, and if you can see, the Indri has a dense coat of black silky fur with a varying number of white patches depending on the geographic region. Looking at their toes and fingers, they are very dexterous and are good for grasping, and their long hind legs aid them in leaping up to 10 meters between vertical branches in the forest. If you look at their eyes, the yellow eyes of Indri face forwards to help them to judge the distance before making a jump. So talking of the habitat of the lemurs, the Indri lemurs, they of course found the island of Madagascar in the lowland jungle and tropical forest. Lemurs are arboreal animals, meaning that they spend the majority of their lives eating, sleeping and mating high up in the trees. Today, the Indri, however, is found in small pockets of protected forest in eastern Madagascar due to the increased levels of lodging and the clearing of land. You can see that while I was there, for agriculture across the island. Although actual figures are unknown, there are about 10,000 Indri left in Madagascar, meaning that the species is under severe threat in its natural environment. So the Indri is a sociable animal living in small family units of 2 to 6 individuals. Both, of course, they consist of males and females. As something that I experienced personally also, Indris communicate through a series of eerie wailing calls, both to unite families and also to mark their territory that can be heard almost like 2 kilometers away. The Indri lemurs communicate through a series of eerie wailing calls, both to unite the families and also to mark their territory that can be, and these calls can be heard 2 kilometers away. I hope I am able to see that you people can hear some of these calls of the lemurs in this park. So after I returned from Madagascar, people were asking me the difference between lemurs and monkeys. Now the difference is that the lemurs is their dog-like snout, which gives all the lemurs an excellent sense of smell, so that they are able to sniff out these markings with ease and avoid confrontation. Although most babies are born in May or June, after a gestation period of between 4 to 5 months. I was there in May. I couldn't see actually any babies, but I could see a lot of adults. So coming to the diet of the Indri, they are herbivorous animals. Unlike many other primates that will munch on almost everything in sight, Indri are diurnal animals, meaning that they are most active during the day, and this is when they hunt for food both in the trees and on the ground. Now young leaves make up the majority of the Indri's diet, with fruits, seeds and flowers which are easily picked up with their nimble fingers. You can see that. Indris are known to eat a wide variety of plant matter, although it is thought that they predominantly eat vegetation that comes from the tree. So other important thing that I need to mention here is the Indri predators and threats. Living high up in the trees means that the Indri is safe from many ground-dwelling predators. However, there are a number of animals that have no problem getting up to the Indri's height. The native cat-like fossa, which I'll show you later, is the main predator of the Indri and is incredibly agile and primarily tree-dwelling mammal that has evolved to catch one thing, the lemurs. Other predators of Indri include the birds of prey, the hawks, the reptiles, including snakes as well. Of course, one must not forget that the largest threats to the Madagascar's Indri population is of course the habitat loss, as hundreds of acres of natural jungle are being cleared every day, and you can see that in this video as well. The other interesting fact about the Indri is that they are the largest existing lemur today, and like other lemurs is most closely related to more primitive primates, including the bush baby, the potos and the lorises. Despite the fact that there are nearly 100 species of lemur and the subspecies found today, the Indri is the only remaining species in its genus. If the island was ravaged by deforestation, it is thought that a different population of Indri occupied nearly every ridge in the eastern forests of Madagascar. The color of the Indri, if you can see, differs between populations, with individuals further south thought to have more patches of white, while those in the north areas tended to be more dark. It is estimated that there are about 10,000 individual Indris left in the wild. So I was staying in the Vekona Reserve Lodge. Vekona is in a lovely location, and it was a nice place to stay. It may be a little expensive, but it was very, very good. And I was pleasantly surprised by the Lemur Island. My guide took us with my driver, and we were the only people there in the afternoon. Otherwise, it gets very, very busy. On the private Lemur Island, I was able to take some amazing photos, some great clicks, and I was able to play with these lemurs, the ruffed lemurs, the brown lemurs, the bamboo lemurs, and of course, at the end, the ringtail of the monkeys. And this was a couple of hours I can never forget. Hats off to my wonderful guide who was able to take some stunning photos and some videos, both in the lemur park and in the islands. He was able to paddle me with my driver from the first island to the fourth island to show me some of the most stunning lemurs I've ever seen. We sailed through the small path, we paddled in the canoe, we encountered some browns, huge troops of lemurs. I was able to play with them, take photos, and then I was able to see some monkeys on the fourth island. Now this is very interesting because as we continue to canoe, in this eastern part of Madagascar. But the couple of varieties that we have seen, the closeness, and I was amazed how close I could get to the ruffed lemurs, the ring-tailed lemurs, the brown lemurs, the bamboo lemurs, the sikafas. The sikafas are amazing lemurs, and you can see them. Their colors are beautiful. They are not only on the Lemur Island, they are also in the park called the Anala Mazota. So, hoping that you have enjoyed being with me, being with the lemurs in this short documentary. And if you have liked it, do appreciate it by subscribing to my channel so that you can continue to be updated with all the latest videos on wildlife and other travel experiences as I go along.